Well, thank you for waiting through that nice long intro there. It's the first time we've used it, so we're going to probably shorten it next time. My name is Jeremy Nation. I'm the marketing director here at Hemi, and I'm joined by Vetro's CTO and co-founder Akash Patel. It's a pleasure to have you on the show, Akash. And you guys have been building a lot of exciting things over at Vetro. But tell me first, before we get into that, what is it that brought you into crypto in the first place?
Yeah, so I guess I joined crypto kind of late 2018. And at the time, I was working at a hedge fund called Engineers Gate. And me and my colleagues were looking at Bitcoin. It had just gone through this kind of incredible rise from a couple of $1,000s to, I think, at one point, like over $20,000. And we started paying attention. So we started looking at it, and I started looking at YouTube videos to just kind of understand, like, what is Bitcoin, what is Ethereum, uh, why do they have uses, and I kind of got really interested in Ethereum and also DeFi. And at that point, a friend of a friend invited me to join the Maker Foundation as the head of trading. So Maker at that time was creating a stable coin, and they needed liquidity for DAI. DAI was their stable coin. So we
Mhm.
built a bunch of Python bot code to essentially market make for DAI. So with that code, which is still public code, by the way, you could market make on Uniswap, you could market make on Coinbase. And the idea was, and at that time, Maker and DAI were very small, so we were trying to grow the ecosystem and provide liquidity. So yeah, that was my first introduction to crypto. And yeah, so that's kind of how I started my journey, like late 2018.
Now, a lot of people get attracted to a lot of flashy stuff in crypto. There's NFTs. There's a lot of huge returns that you could chase trading, but you've kind of ended up deeper seated in token
Sure.
economics, DeFi design, and on-chain trading. What was it that kind of lured you towards that direction of the ecosystem versus some of the more attractive ones to some people?
Uh, it's a good question. I mean, I think for me, I thought Maker was super interesting in terms of DAI was a stable coin, which was really useful, I believe, or at least like when we were doing research at Maker, it was really useful to like second world and third world countries that like their own currencies were going through extremely high inflation. And at that moment, Argentina had extremely high inflation. And so a lot of like local Argentinians, they were creating their own wallets that they fully controlled, that was away from their banking system. They could own DAI, and then they could take DAI and put it in DeFi and earn interest. So to me, those were kind of interesting things. And then understanding Maker governance token, or even the Compound governance token, and Aave governance tokens were like super interesting. So yeah, for me, I thought NFTs were cool, but like I think, and by the way, like NFTs can still be used in DeFi, but uh, I thought this other aspect actually had utility in the world, especially for second world or third world citizens that were trying to protect their economic labor.
That makes sense. Now, more on Vetro. For anyone who's meeting Vetro for the first time today, what is Vetro? How can you explain to
Sure.
someone who isn't like steeped in DeFi?
Yeah, so Vetro is a new stablecoin, and there are, um, and in some sense, there's a lot of different versions of stablecoins out there. The biggest ones being USDT and USDC, and those are typically backed by US short-term notes. Uh, so you could take USDC, USDT, and put it on different DeFi lending platforms and earn somewhere on the order of about 3.5%. Uh, we kind of wanted to, or at least I wanted to build a stable coin that you could stake and earn a little bit of a higher interest rate. Uh, or yield a little bit higher. And so all Vetro is like the initial phase is it's VUSD, which is a stable coin, and you can input USDC or USDT or FRX USD, and you can mint yourself VUSD. You can then take that VUSD and you can stake it into SVUSD, which is a staking component, and that can hopefully generate fairly high returns. And in the back end, we are taking the USDC, USDT, and yield farming with it. That's the general concept, and we can then extend that same pattern into VetBTC, which is a Bitcoin-like product. So for VetBTC, you can deposit CBBTC, WBTC, Hemi BTC. You get VetBTC, and then you can stake it, and again, hopefully generate high yield. So with the target for SVUSD is somewhere on the order of 10%. The target for SVET BTC, which is the staking product, is somewhere on the order of 5%. That's what we think we can. That's what we think we see DeFi yield farming currently achieving. And right now, we're in a bear market. So uh, those yields will be potentially higher in a bull market. And really, all of this came about because I don't know if you have done DeFi yield farming. It is extremely cumbersome, meaning you have to constantly evaluate hundreds of protocols, what those protocols are yielding. Have there been any smart contract changes? Are there any backdoors to those smart contracts? Uh, you have to do smart contract due diligence, and then at the same time you might be dealing with multiple chains, multiple bridges to those chains, and all of that felt very cumbersome to me. So I was like, it would be great if I could just go to one place and essentially do one click or two clicks in this case, and still get the yield. And in the back end, uh, you know, all of this evaluation can be handled either by AI or by a group of individuals. And in this case, we do have an AI agentic system in the back end recommending what should be safe DeFi yield farms.
So
So that was a long answer to I wanted simplified DeFi yield farming, and that's what Vetro really is. It takes hopefully something on the order of probably 50 clicks down to like two or three.
no, that's wonderful. And for a lot of people that don't realize it, when you're trying to maintain the capital efficiency of assets deployed across a number of pools with a number of routing involved in across chains, it can be very difficult, especially when you have to, for every chain integration, make another, risk assessment and see if this is going to fall in line with what we are attuned to. So for the kind of clients that Vetro is set up to serve, for instance, if they're sitting on a treasury worth of stablecoins, what is it that they're missing and that Vetro can answer? And I think that you've eloquently put that. You take this very complex situation that they have to interface with and reduce it to fewer clicks and more assurance. Now, there's roughly $300 billion in stablecoins that are sitting out there earning T-bill rates while the issuer keeps the yield. Can you frame that gap for the audience? Why is that the thing worth building a company around?
Sure. So currently, the largest the largest stablecoins are USDC, USDT. What we're basically saying is, we're a little bit higher on the risk curve, but for that, we will hopefully, users will get compensated for a larger yield. So, imagine you're just a normal treasury, um, like a CFO for some kind of crypto protocol, and you're managing $10 million for your protocol. I would say a vast majority of that should go into something that is U.S. short-term notes. That's fine. That's going to be about 3.5%. But some portion of that, I think it's appropriate for probably to go in something like a VUSD and then an SVUSD. And if our target yield right now is somewhere in the order of 10%, and that fluctuates, it's a variable yield. That can generate excess income for your protocol treasury, and and that has real world benefits of you know paying staff and so forth. So like that's kind of what I envision. Is there are a bunch of crypto projects out there that have potentially some potential treasury, and this is just another way to get yield on your treasury that's higher than the regular short-term U.S. notes, which is about 3.5%. Um, Hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, yeah, and kind of digging more into that, a lot of projects can make promises about yield, but what's actually different when Vetro is kind of integrating as a layer?
Um, yeah, I mean the hope is, first of all, we want full transparency on what is happening with the backend funds, and so we've spent some time building an analytics site, um, and that should hopefully tell you like what is actually happening with the backend funds, like how is it, like where is it going and how is it earning yield. For example, right now we're currently in morpho pools, uh, and the other idea is like this extends to also VetPTC. So VetPTC is another kind of treasury product, and currently, like if you look at yields for BTC like products, so like WBTC, CBBTC, or even Hemi BTC, uh, the yields can be sometimes fairly low, and we are trying to automate all of that into, you mint VetBTC, then you mint SVET BTC, and in the back end, those funds are automatically finding the best yield opportunities. And currently, even in VET BTC, we think it's close to 4 to 5%, which is really good Bitcoin yields. And so, from a treasury management perspective, like what are the alternatives? Like, I sit with those funds and I do nothing. Right? There's a lot of people just holding Bitcoin and just relying on Bitcoin's price appreciation, or they're holding USDC and not doing anything with it. Uh, we think with a couple of clicks, a CFO for a treasury can take that institutional capital, get yield on it, and that additional yield is always going to be a positive thing for those protocols. So I think that's what we mean by like an institutional treasury layer, is like we're giving the CFO transparency and we're giving them the ability to execute this without doing, you know, a tremendous amount of research. Like essentially you would, if you were going to do yield farming on your own, like you need to be a smart contract dev in some sense to understand some of the contracts you're depositing into. And we want to abstract all of that away, still make things super transparent, and still make things like 1 or 2 clicks. So,
Now, significant effort has gone into keeping stability and yield separate. Why does that matter so much, and what breaks down when protocols blur the barrier between those two?
um, yeah, I mean, I think we have two components. One is pegged to, like, VUSD is essentially pegged to a dollar. We're enforcing that through atomic redemptions and also DEX liquidity. So, if you're holding VUSD, you can kind of be assured, because of DEX liquidity, because of the minting redemption process, that it's going to generally be worth a dollar. So that is, super useful. You can use that as collateral in different places. Separately, if you want yield, you can stake it into SVUSD and you can earn yield. Now, with SVUSD, the only caveat is there is a 7-day cooldown period. And even with VUSD, going from VUSD to USDC or USDT, there is a slight cooldown period of about 120 seconds. The first one for why there's a cooldown between VUSD and USDC to USDT is to make sure we are never flash loan attacked. So that just is a protection against that. The second piece of why is there a 7-day cooldown period for going from SVUSD to VUSD. That is there so that the backend funds can be deployed into different yield farms, and usually those yield farms have their own redemption delays. And by creating a 7-day cooldown period on our end, it ensures funds can flow back easily.
Mm. Now, you kind of walked through some of the three instruments there, VUSD, SVUSD, and the third one is VUSDX. How does that one fit into the role of this system?
Sure. So, and just to be clear, at this moment, VUSDX is it's going to come online in about 2 to 3 weeks. But VUSDX is more of a fixed term product, and so SVUSD is a variable yield product. So the yield fluctuates on a daily basis, in fact, on a minute basis potentially. With VUSDX, it is a fixed term product, and the fixed term is generally a month, and the target yield is preset, and we are trying to achieve that target yield. And on the back end, most likely that corresponding capital will be deployed into the easiest way to think about it is Pendle principal tokens with a corresponding maturity. The other thing to notice about VUSDX is if you don't do anything with it, it auto rolls over to the next month. So each month a new target yield is determined, and if you don't pull your funds back out, it just auto rolls over and you earn the new yield, which is a flat rate for that entire month. 7 days before the end of the month, and it's anytime before 7 days, you are given an opportunity to withdraw your funds. So basically, you're saying, "Hey, I'd like to get my funds by the end of the month." You have to give us a warning, essentially, a week before the end of the month. And if you do that, you can claim your funds at the end of the month. If you don't do that, it auto rolls over to the next month. And there's a cap limit of how much can be invested in VUSDX. But yes, it's basically VUSDX. The advantage of it is it's fixed term, so you kind of know the length. You also kind of know like what the target yield is, whereas SVUSD is variable rate. And again, it's a soft target of 10%. It can fluctuate up or down based on that, but not too much below 10% is our goal.
That makes sense. It's a a little bit more of a structured product, so it comes with a little bit more well defined peaks and valleys, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Now,
and our general assumption is VUSDX should be a slightly higher rate than SVUSD, but and that's why you're getting potentially compensated for like locking your capital up.
I see. Now, I mean, you kind of touched on this too. Transparency as infrastructure kind of means reserves and backing verifiable on chain in real time. And you built that model. You also have more of the monthly attestation model. Which one do you lean towards, and which one do you think is more viable for Vetro customers?
Right. Well, the true ideal goal, like where our North Star is, and I think we're fairly close to that, is we would like on-chain DeFi yield farming. And if it's on-chain DeFi yield farming, in theory, you should be able to get the value or get the NAV of your funds in real time, right? And that's what we're kind of doing with our analytics site. So our analytics site is showing you in real time where the funds are deployed. So that I think should be our goal, and I think that that gives you a lot more comfort into like what is the actual value of the backend funds. And I think, by the way, that notion comes from Maker, right? Like when I was in Maker, like the beauty of on chain was you could see the value of DAI, which was the stablecoin at the time, pretty much every 15 seconds. So as Ethereum, each block of Ethereum printed, like you knew the exact value of DAI. And then, USDC, I believe, has monthly attestations of like exactly what US short-term notes they buy. And then, Tether has also tried to go to a similar thing. But my goal is like real time. It is also nice to have like other platforms do attestations for us. So like that's where we're trying to go to. Like we kind of hopefully want both things.
Now you've got an omni-chain infrastructure. It works across 100 chains with no wrapping or bridging. Why does that matter for the kind of institutions that you guys are targeting right now?
Sure. So omni-chain just means, if you have a stablecoin BUSD on Ethereum, you can easily transport it to Hemi chain, for example, and then Hemi chain is like super, super cheap. So that travels to anybody on the planet who's on the Hemi chain could theoretically receive and send VUSD for very small amounts. So you could probably do even like microtransactions there. But yeah, with currently we're on layer 0, and currently that enable and by the way, there's competing platforms, and we're not necessarily opposed to like CCIP, which is Chainlink's platform, but basically it allows you to get to several different chains and receive and send BUSD with very, very small transaction costs. So
Now, for the go
yeah,
on.
that's the basic advantage, right? So you choose whatever chain you want to be on, and we will allow you to be on that chain.
Now, for the builders in the audience, Vetro features a 1% peg circuit breaker, and it uses AI as an analyst, not an executor, whichever one you want to say.
Right.
How do you think about safety being architectural before it's operational?
Sure. So, there have been periodic depegs for USDC and USDT. They weren't fortunately, after some flurry, it turned out like there was nothing wrong with USDC or USDT. But we do have circuit breakers just in case, like they're Chainlink oracles that basically print the value of USDC or USDT based on where they're trading. And if they ever deviate by 1%, so basically if they're trading 99 cents or below, we will pause minting and redeeming. These are very, very unlikely events. They've happened before for different set of reasons, but the peg has always been restored. But we create that circuit breaker just to make sure that people are not minting or redeeming at bad prices.
Now, going back to the infrastructure side, how does this all connect back to Hemi? And why is Hemi the best network to support Vetro? And maybe more specifically, what is building on Bitcoin security through Hemi give USD that it wouldn't get elsewhere?
Say the last part again.
Yeah, of course. What is building on Bitcoin security through Hemi give USD that it wouldn't get elsewhere?
Sure. Well, first of all, the team is very related to Hemi. There is some overlap, and really, initially, Vetro was built to be a stablecoin that could be on any chain, but it would be related to Hemi, and in some sense, Hemi needed a stablecoin to do transactions, and this was kind of built for Hemi, and like governance, in fact, will happen on the Hemi chain. So that's at least one aspect. Um, so let's see how it's related. On a practical level, governance will happen on Hemi. So there is potentially a V token, which represents Vetro. You could take the V token and stake it, and you would get V Vetro. V Vetro holders are basically governance for the Vetro protocol. So they can decide what strategies are safe. They can decide potentially what curators to add to Vetro. Um, they can decide which collaterals to add. So right now we have three collaterals, which is USDC, USDT, and FRX USD. So a lot of the, if there are decisions like risk decisions, a lot of that can be given to the V Vetra holders that would vote on the Hemi chain. Secondly, uh, there is there's programs on Hemi called Hemi Earn, and those funds are basically in the back end. They're using Vetro to gather yield from all of DeFi. So that's the two practical ways I would say. And then, the third thing is VUSD and SVUSD can be transported. They can be minted on Ethereum, but they can be transported back to the Hemi chain, and they can be used as collateral and whatever other use cases you can think of. So and essentially like a stable source of yield. So
I think that frames everything very well. Now, with everything we've discussed, I understand you've got a live platform demonstration for us. Let
sure.
me know when you've got that queued up, and then we can pop it on the screen for all to
Yeah.
see.
So I'm switching now to hopefully you can see my screen.
Yes, I
Okay.
believe everyone can see your screen now.
Okay, sweet. So this is mainly the analytics side, and I just kind of wanted to quickly go through this. Um, so this is basically our transparency dashboard. So currently, VUSD, we're still kind of in alpha mode. We have like 382K in TVL. You can see how that TVL is split. So it's 111K in USDT, 269K in USDC, and so forth. In FRX USD, those funds, so VUSD is currently over collateralized. So what that means is for each dollar of VUSD you have, there is a dollar, so 100 point, almost 100.1% backing it. So for each dollar of VUSD, there's a dollar or one currently backing it. There's about 64K of VUSD staked. And you can also see about 3K is being withdrawn. It's going through the 7-day cooldown period. So of that 64K of USD that's being staked, the ratio of SVUSD to VUSD is 1.012. So as you can kind of see, periodically VUSD is dripped into SVUSD, so it's monotonically increasing in value. And then the current rate is 10%. And we've been around for a couple of months, and we've been given different interest rates. SVUSD is again, it's a variable rate, so it peaked at like 23%. Here, we can go 3 months. So initially, there was zero interest rate, and then the more VUSD has been dripped to SVUSD, so you can see the current APY. And then in the back end, we have three strategies: Morpho Sky, Morpho Sky USDC, USDT, and then Morpho staked out for FRX USD. So these three backend strategies are yield farming. We also have a reserve buffer. The reserve buffer is for instant atomic liquidity. But realistically, all of these three strategies have enough liquidity to pull out immediately. So like that's why our current liquid reserves is 99.98%. So, and similarly, we have VET-BTC, which is similar to VUSD, except its baseline is Bitcoin. And, again, inputs are WBTC, CBBTC, Hemi BTC. And, at the very bottom, you can see like where those strategies are being sent to earn yield. And currently, SVET BTC is yielding about 7.21%, and similarly, SVET BTC is going to be monotonically increasing relative to VET BTC. So that's the analytics page, but I kind of quickly want to do a swap demonstration. So
Yes.
this is a minting process. So like I would deposit, let's say 10 USDT, and the choices are again USDC, FRX, USD. I'm gonna mint VUSD, and there is probably, and it's important to note like this is slightly not 10 because of an oracle. So USDT is slightly below $1, and that's why it's slightly less than $1 right now in terms of minting.
And anyone who's done a stablecoin swap is no stranger to this discrepancy. It's a cent,
Yeah.
less than a cent.
All right. So again, transactions in Ethereum are always a two-step process. So it approves it, and then I'm now. Interesting. I'm going to sign it anyway. It's saying simulation failed, which is unusual.
Well, it might have jumped the gun on that.
Yeah. Okay, so it says swap successful. So I've swapped 10 USDT and I converted it to almost 10 VUSD. So that's the minting process. If I wanted to do the opposite and basically redeem, there's a slight 120-second cooldown period. So I'm going to do the reverse now. So I'm going to, let's do this, share the queue. So again, we got to go through the approval process. All Ethereum transactions are usually a two-step process of you have to approve and then do the action that you want to do. So once this approves this might take a couple of minutes, but once this approves this, the next step is going to be to confirm the swap. But once I confirm the swap, it'll go into a queue for 120 seconds. And then the final piece will be, I need to claim it. So again, I'm going to sign this. So this is.
And again, this gap was designed to prevent against flash loan attacks because it separates the time across blocks, which would prevent anyone from being able to do like a large attack in a single block without having to worry about other confirmations around it.
So what happens now is like that went to the redeem queue, and as you can see, it's going on a timer, and once this timer is done, I can claim it, and the 100. We'll see the next step. So at that point, the 100 VUSD is ready to be converted, and I can claim either USDT, USDC, or FRX USD, and we'll show that process. So we'll come back to this in a minute. In the meantime, let's explore the rest of the site. So
yep.
We have, well, first, there's this question mark here. So you can see our homepage, docs. You can submit a request if you want. And I'll just, I don't know if you can see this. So this is our doc site. Quickly, it shows you everything you kind of need to know. You can also see some of like curve pools, like where's some liquidity. You can also see the deployed addresses. So we wanted to be very transparent about everything. So all of our deployed addresses and our OFT tokens on different networks are set up. You can see audits, you can see resources of our white paper, our POV, our GitHub. Let's see, and the audits are, we have a QuantStamp audit, and you can see the repository. Like we'll have other audits, and they'll go into this repository. Getting back to the main site, we have a bridge tab. So the bridge tab is basically, I can send VUSD to the Hemi chain, for example. So I'll do a demonstration of that too. So I'm going to send 100 VUSD that's sitting on Ethereum to the Hemi chain, and we're just going to bridge that.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, and this is really meant to be done in size, but there is a network fee on Ethereum, and there's a layer 0 fee right now. So, but I can sign this. And so this would take several minutes now to go from the Ethereum side of my wallet to the Hemi side of my wallet. So while we're waiting for this, I wanted to show the earn side. So earn just means I am taking some VUSD and I'm staking it. And so right now, if I take some VUSD and I stake it, I can get a 10.41% APY. That is live, so that's a variable rate. But again, let's just see how easy it is to take some BUSD and deposit it and stake it.
And just a couple of clicks right there, and you went to a static to an earning position.
Correct. Okay, so that finished up. And so the way this would, so the way after this completes, my staked amount should increase, but
Does take a second. It is the internet.
yeah, it is Ethereum also. So let's, while this is going on, let's see if we can, we'll come back to this. We can go back to the swap page, and as you see in the bottom, I'm now ready to redeem. So I'm going to redeem this into, so I have like 100 available that I can redeem, and I'm going to redeem. So just for fun, I'm going to redeem 50. I guess it's giving me the full amount. Like I can, just for fun, I'll do it in USDC. So I'm going to redeem
Sure.
1 for 1.
And that's all built into the interface. You don't have to worry about any of like swapping and stuff. It routes it for you into the USDC in the app.
So again, I'm redeeming it, and this is just a one-click process. So
yeah,
cool. So that happened. So so my USDC balance increased. Now going back to the earn page, so that transaction finally went through, and if you remember, this was 400 before, and now it's jumped to 500.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that transaction went through, and now I'm staking about 549 VUSD for SVUSD. And then we'll go through the final page. We do have a borrow component also. So
All
the
right.
borrow component is similar to Maker's CDP position. And all that means is I can use outside collateral. And in this case, we've approved Hemi BTC as collateral and WETH as collateral. So I can use outside collateral and I can essentially borrow BUSD. And so currently we've set these up to be very small, and all the available amounts have been borrowed out. But I have two test positions in here that I've borrowed out. So I've put in about $200 of Hemi BTC collateral and borrowed out. Uh, and just to be clear, on the back end, these are really kind of like morpho markets. But just to show you functionality, I'm going to repay a piece of this loan. So I'm going to repay about $10.60. And so I've now repaid that. So again, this is a two-step process. Approve the amount, repay the loan. And while it's repaying that, I'm also going to repay this other one.
Might as well.
Yeah, so this one is the WETH position, and I'm repaying this 10. Sorry, 1042. Okay, so this one's being repaid. So now, and by the way, so over time, so Vetro, for example, if you're eventually a governance holder, those people will decide like what collaterals are acceptable versus, and also like what should be the LTV. So right now, Hemi BTC is set at an LTV of 77%, and WETH is set at a higher LTV of 86%. Yeah, and so this is repaying it. So in the meantime, let me just refresh this. So as you can see, like after I refresh, there's $10 available to borrow. Over time, this borrow mechanism will be increased, but over time, we first need to have much more stable coins that are in the system before we start allowing CDP positions. And CDP positions will eventually, once we're much larger, be about 10 to 20%. But the majority of the backing of VUSD, for example, will be based off of other stable coins like USDC, USDT.
Yes.
So after we paid back notice, like Morpho has a utilization mechanism, so the APR has gone down to 6% and
I
4.3.
see.
So utilization really changes the interest rate here. So that's the borrow. We went through the analytics page to show like full transparency, but these are this is the basic functionality. We have swap. We showed minting and redeeming. We showed you can bridge it to tons of chains right now. So
Yep.
any chain that people want, but right now we have Ethereum, Hemi, Arbitrum, Base, Binance, Avalanche. Yeah, so those are the current chains, but we can easily add if there are parties out there that want to add a different chain and there's a good business reason to do it, we can easily add it. We just
There you
need
go.
yeah. We have the earn page, which is just staking, and we have stake in VET BTC. And SVET BTC right now has a really nice rate of 7.2%. Okay, so I think that is the basic demo.
Yeah,
Let
that's been a
me.
really great holistic look under the hood, I think, of Vetro and what you guys are doing there. Kind of
So there were
stepping.
a couple of other things I wanted to mention. So if you
Oh
go
yeah,
to
go ahead.
docs.retro.org, you'll
Oh,
see
let's
our
go back.
docs. Yeah.
Wait.
So this is again, this is the docs, and then our Twitter or X channel is Vetro. Uh, it's at vetro_org,
Yeah, you can
and we
follow the
also have,
banner too.
yep, and we have our LinkedIn page, and there it's vetro-org. And so hopefully some material is going to be posted there soon. But yeah, so that's our resources side. You can look at our white paper. You can definitely look at our GitHub. All of the code is public. Um, and and yeah, and if we also have a speak to the team component. So if there are, I'm going to go back to the main site. Do you want to turn off the
Yeah,
thing?
here.
So okay,
There you
great.
go.
Okay, so um, I wanted to mention, there is a governance perspective to this. So we're going to soon have a governance, which will be gov.vetro.org. Uh, and basically it'll be a forum. So the things that we're thinking about are like, what are additional inputs to VUSD? Like right now we have 3 stablecoins that could increase. The big one that's coming soon is probably USD1. We're going through the due diligence process of that. On VetBTC, you can input CBBTC, WBTC, Hemi BTC, but another one that could be added is TBTC, for example. Um, and similarly, like that whole pattern of VUSD to VetBTC can be extended to VetETH, and other possible RWAs. So the expansion process of how this works is like governance will be pretty powerful, I think, um, in this platform. So yeah, I want to give a shout out to try to have people pay attention to that, and the way people might pay attention to that is also looking at the Hemi. So yeah,
Is that coming in the next 6 to 12 months or sooner? Or
it's definitely within the next 6 months, and I would say much sooner. So
that's great. And where do people go to check into stuff we showed on the docs and everything like that? Is there anything else that you'd like people to know about Vetro that we haven't covered?
I mean, I think a good way is paying attention to the Vetro X or Twitter channel. Announcements will come there. I think, if you go to app.vetro.org, that's the main app. You can just see the functionality there. Um, and I think, yeah, the Twitter channel right now is our main um, platform. I think gov.vetro.org is being built and set up, and I think people should pay attention there because we will have governance forum posts up there about new ways that we're trying to expand Vetro.
All right. Well, there you have it, a complete look at Vetro, what's under the hood, what they're planning on building, and the way they're building it. And we thank you so much, Akash, for joining us today on Built on Hemi. And we look forward to bringing the next Built on Hemi episode to you, coming very soon. So thank you again, one and all. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you guys have a wonderful afternoon. Enjoy your weekends.